Yo, what is up? You're listening to another edition of the Relapse Records podcast. I am your host, Nick, as always, here to bring you some brutal shit. And if that's what you're looking for, you came to the right place. As you just heard, starting things off with some really heavy stuff. We got some Integrity with their new track, I Am the Spell. That is going to be coming off of their brand new album, coming out July 14th. That's Howling for the Nightmare Shall Consume. It's a pretty badass title if you do ask me, but very excited for that one. And then, of course, the almighty Obituary in there with a bonus track off of their new self-titled album. It's actually on the Decibel Flexi series, so you may have heard that if you are subscribed to Decibel Magazine. That was their track No. And then, of course, starting things off, the all-powerful Dying Fetus with their track Fixated on Devastation, with their new album coming out June 23rd, Wrong One to Fuck With. If you ever heard an album title like that, please let me know, because they're definitely on some next level stuff with this record. I mean, their pre-order comes with a knife. I really couldn't tell you any other band that went that far with their promos. But I actually just listened to the other awesome podcast. That would be Jamie Josta's podcast. He just had a couple of the guys from Fetus on there, and had some cool stuff to say about the scene and the new record. We got some cool stuff for you this month. Our special guest is Liam Wilson from John Frum, and also from the almighty The Dillinger Escape Plan. And we had a lot to talk about, obviously. He's been a busy guy. John Frum just put out their debut album, Stirring in the Noose, just a few weeks ago. Played their first few shows, and really excited to see where this project goes. And then, of course, Dillinger Escape Plan going to be calling it quits within, seems like within the year. And also, it's 10 years since Iworks came out. Obviously, has Liam and Dillinger has a long past with Relapse, and it was cool to get to look back on some of those records with Liam, and you could tell a little bit of it was shocking to look back on, to see how much has changed and how far the band has come since then. But it was a great chat, and he picked out some cool tunes for us to play towards the end as well. But I got plenty more new music coming for you. It seems like all of June and July, just about every week, there's at least one album coming out from one of the bands on the label. So definitely, if you are on the lookout for new music, you are definitely going to be excited for this summer. So this next block here, we got some music from Tau Cross, their new album Pillar of Fire, coming out July 21st. Also some music coming up from Myrkur with a really cool song. It's a traditional Scandinavian folk song, and her new album is going to be coming out later on this fall. So definitely be on the lookout for more updates for that. But let's get to it. Here's some Tau Cross with their new track, Deep State.
from the outside. White light, Eyes of the deep state, burning, burning, inside on the outside. White light, eyes of the deep state, burning, burning. Flying fires, legions of the hidden sun. I'm bleeding through into the night. From a nightmare they have come. Intention, hostile, your bloodline, the last trial. We are paralyzed, thousand in the day, my sway, paralyzed. Inside on the outside, white light, eyes of the deep state, burning, burning. Inside on the outside, white light. Eyes of the deep state, burning, burning. Gleaming, approaching from the edge. Black skies above the ocean bridge. The earth is buckling in protest. The armies of the despossessed. Inside on the outside, white light, eyes of the deep state, burning, burning. Inside on the outside, white light, eyes of the deep state, burning, burning.
Det var två ädla konungabarn som lov varandra sin tro, och den som skulle svika skulle leva i stor oro. Det var en gammal trollkärring som mörde både Arestal. Den kärlek vill jag och skilja, om jag får Och jungfrun frågar sin fader om råd. Allvid den lilla Gruno, gör mina lovspassare gå. Allvid den lilla Gruno. Hem till min fader och moder och till mina syskon små, att jag dricker mitt bröllop av floder och lägga på hertigens hand.
I'll put you in my pocket full of dangerous things.
That was The Obsessed with their track Sacred off of the album of the same name, which has been out for a couple months now, and definitely one of my favorite records that has come out this year. Wino is the man. Got to talk to him in the last edition of the podcast, and it was really cool to talk to him. They just played St. Vitus not too long ago, so shout out to you if you were there. And then, of course, some Tau Cross to start it off. That was the track Deep State, coming off of Pillar of Fire, which will be hitting your ears on July 21st. And I got a ton more new music for you coming up right now. I have some new music from Arcadea, which their self-titled album is coming out June 16th. And that project is a cool one. It's a Daler from Mastodon. And really interesting stuff on here. It's got some interesting synths and all that cool stuff. And then speaking of new projects, I also have some news music for you from Expulsion, and that's a new project featuring members of Repulsion, Exhumed, Phobia, and their new album Nightmare Future is going to be coming out on July 14th. So plenty to look forward to. And one other coming up, I have some XI, their self-titled debut hitting the stores June 23rd. Definitely gonna dig that. But let's start off with some Ecstatic Vision with the track off of their latest album, Raw Rock Fury. Here is Keep It Loose. That was new music from XI. That was Opposition Perihelion off of their self-titled debut, which is coming out June 23rd. And also in there we had Expulsion with Altar of Slaughter, which is on their album Nightmare Future, coming out July 14th. And that's a new project featuring members of Repulsion, Exhumed, and Phobia. And then we had some Arcadea with Infinite End, which very much looking forward to their self-titled album on June 16th, coming up with some crazy, crazy songs on there. And then, of course, at the very beginning of that was some Ecstatic Vision, Keep It Loose, Raw Rock Fury. And it is time for the Liam Wilson Takeover. We're going to be starting off talking about the new album from John Frum, Stirring in the Noose. And then we're going to be getting later on to talk about Dillinger and all of the great things the band has accomplished pre and post their time with Relapse and the 10th anniversary of Ioworks, and obviously the band coming to the end. What's going on, guys? You're listening to the Relapse Records podcast. I am Nick, here with our very special guest, Liam Wilson of John Frum, and also Dillinger Escape Plan. What's going on, Liam?
Not much. I'm feeling so special in Denver.
But it's big this month for you. John Frum is officially, the album is Stirring in the Noose is officially out this month. I got to hear it way back when, they send it to the label and stuff, and I've been digging it, and finally glad that the public gets to hear it now. So how does it feel to finally have this project off the ground? The first album is officially out, and people are now getting to get their first taste of this new project you're a part of.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about it. I think that kind of goes without saying. When it's been just kind of in process for so long, it's just been in my pipeline for, almost half a decade,
wow,
or just over. So yeah, getting this stuff all wrapped up and cleared for landing was quite a process, but it was also nice to not really have the pressure of like a deadline. So that kind of allowed us to really, spread out and take as much time as we needed to get it done. And because of our schedules and logistics, geography, all of these things, it just takes a long time to get it together. So yeah, the fact that it's finally out publicly feels a little, just strange. It's been something that's kind of just been hidden for so long that when people talk to me about it, there's this feeling of like, hey, wait, how'd you hear it? Like, it's just kind of been like, did it leak? Oh, wait, no, it came out last Friday. Because, it kind of blends in, like, when does your record actually come out? It's like, was it out when we walked out of the studio with a board bounce of it? Or was it when we got the first mix or the masters? Or was it when Relapse started sending promos? Or, it's like, I'm not really sure when it's officially out. I don't know when to celebrate, in a sense. It's kind of just been these, like, small little, cork poppings.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's definitely exciting. It's cool to like do something that's not Dillinger and doesn't sound like Dillinger and is still, consistent with my musical interest.
Right.
And also just to kind of feel like it's not, it doesn't feel like a side project or that kind of the super group word that gets tossed around a lot. I guess I don't really care if people, want to say that or not, but it doesn't feel like that from the inside other than just working with professionals.
Right.
So in that sense, I guess it's a super group. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm really happy with the way the production came out and the artwork and the layout. And, like every detail is about as close as, we could possibly make it to what we want. And I mean, the reality is that that's probably only 15% of the way towards where we want it to be. But I think that's the creative process for most people.
Right. And like you mentioned, you kind of said like a side project in there. Now with Dillinger starting to come towards the end, will this kind of take over more as a primary project for you, or are you just going to kind of have it there still on the side as well and just kind of have a little bit more time to just kind of do whatever it is that you want to do elsewhere?
This would have come out whether Dillinger was breaking up or not.
Right.
It just kind of happens to be a convenient time.
Oh, okay.
But the fact that, it's not just me. I still have to juggle with 4 other people who are pretty busy. And, so yeah, I mean, I think it'll certainly we'll certainly get out there and do more than we have been doing the last 6 years. But, and I will certainly have a little bit more time when Dillinger is not touring as much. I think part of the reason that we haven't been able to support the record coming out now is just because Dillinger is still really busy. And, Dillinger had a bus accident in Poland a couple months ago, and that kind of pushed, we have a lot of makeup dates, and now my summer is filled with dates of Dillinger shows that could have been filled with other things. So, again, I'm not the only one whose schedule is complicated, but I think, it's just a matter of time when people's schedules open up. And, I also kind of feel like it's a new band. I really don't have the drive to get in a van for like 6 weeks and just go hack it out. That's just kind of not where my agenda or the fans' agenda really should be. I would much rather just kind of be a limited engagement situation. But we'll see. I think it's just kind of, we have to start somewhere. I don't think anybody in the band is putting the brakes on it. I think it's just a matter of reconciling our Clark Kent life with our Superman life and trying to make time to express this thing.
But no, I understand that totally. Now, would you say that when you started this project, was this kind of something that was brought to the table by you, or was it something that someone came to you about? What
no,
got the ball
actually
rolling?
The drummer, or our drummer, Eli, had contacted our guitar player, Matt. I'd known Eli for a while, but I never knew Matt before this project. So Eli reached out to Matt. They started jamming. They wrote like 1.5 songs. The half is what became Through Sand and Spirit. And they sort of orphaned the other one that maybe we'll return to it. But anyway, they had that stuff. They had sent me a couple of those just sort of jam recordings. And then I stepped in shortly after, and we played, maybe a year, maybe 2 years. We wrote just as a 3-piece until we met Derek. So it wasn't necessarily my project. I think, a lot of the reason why I've been doing a lot of the press is just sort of it's like a default to a hierarchy of experience.
Oh, okay.
By no means is anybody in my band a chump.
Right.
But just having been doing, music as my main thing for the last, almost 17 years or so, I think everybody is just kind of defaulting to letting me run my mouth. And of course, Dillinger is a tide that floats all boats. It brings a lot of attention to the band. It's obviously not an easy conversion for some people. I don't necessarily think it's going to bring like every Dillinger fan over.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that's certainly a good place to start mining for fans.
You have a built-in fan base, yeah. I mean, might as well try to get some of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of both styles, and I know a lot of other people are too. So, it's a good starting place. But yeah, I tend to think of the band as a pretty thorough democracy. I don't think anybody, behind closed doors backstage in the band in the rehearsal room, everybody has equal weight and leverage. And, again, the other back to like kind of the supergroup thing, like, when we started it wasn't like Matt was playing with John Zorn then, just Matt from the block, so to speak. And, over the course of us writing this record, he started gigging a lot more with John, and that influence kind of starts cross-contaminating what we were doing. So, I don't know. I mean, I could talk. I've said a lot in the press about all this too. But.
Right. And now you guys have played a couple shows so far, and like you said, there probably will be more somewhat when there's time. Obviously, with Dillinger, there's a lot coming up for the summer and whatnot. But how was it just playing those few shows? They were very intimate, and obviously being on stage with this new group and playing these songs that a lot of the people at these shows probably hadn't heard yet, since the album was still at that point not really out yet. Obviously, there's some things here and there, but nothing that was really out to the public. So how was it getting up on stage with this group and playing stuff that people haven't heard yet, and getting that kind of reaction?
I mean, I think it's kind of it's exciting. I like putting people in sort of uncomfortable, compromising places. So I think that, when you play in a situation like that, the expectation level, I mean, I guess it's kind of hard to say. Maybe the expectation level was high. We didn't get there or something, but the impression I get is that we, exceeded expectations and our own. And yes, it's certainly weird to get up and play, new stuff with new people. My experiences with Dillinger, I kind of feel a little bit immune to certain criticisms, and and also just and it's funny because Dillinger, can play a lot of big stages. We can draw pretty good crowds in most places. But one thing I will say about Dillinger that I've always respected is that even though we can play big rooms, we don't always. Even just right now, I'm in Denver shows at a bar that maybe holds 200 people. So I think that, there's a bit of a humbling thing that goes into playing shows like that. And Dillinger consistently just pulls a few of these shows out every year, or we have been recently. So in terms of playing like a kind of like, I mean, the first John Frum show was literally like a house party. And I kind of thought that was a really cool vibe. Then we played Vitus, which was kind of the other, at least sort of in this kind of smaller, cap metal scene. That's a pretty rad room to play.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I could talk for hours about it. It was exciting, really refreshing, certainly scary and nerve-wracking. Not scary is maybe not the right word, but I think it would be silly to say that I went into it with like full confidence. I think there's always a bit of, self-flagellating that goes into the creative process too, where you're just like, everybody's going to hate this. I'm a terrible artist and this record sucks. So I don't know. I mean, I think just kind of getting over that hump and just being able to be objective about it. I think we've bit off a lot. We have a lot of big ideas for how this will be presented. How it looks, how it sounds, all of that. And to just kind of at least kind of step through that threshold and just start to answer those questions and have a deeper dialogue about some of that stuff is rewarding. I don't really think you can do it without playing some of those shows. We waited so long to play our first shows that, again, there was a lot kind of tied up in it, emotionally and even financially.
Yeah, definitely can understand that. But I think something that's very interesting about the whole band is the general concept of just the name and how it ties into what you guys are going for, about how John Frum relates to the whole cargo cult from the South Pacific. Now, why did you guys choose that as your kind of, I guess you can call it your image and how you are perceived and how it ties into the music itself? Because obviously, instead of just picking a name, there's kind of a backstory to what it represents. So what was the all like reason for going in that direction with actually having a whole concept for a backstory?
Well, I mean, I think the backstory wasn't exactly like, we're going to take this concept backstory. We're not necessarily adopting the John Frum narrative
Right.
Directly from any, South Pacific culture. I think it's mostly just the use of the alias as a amalgam of belief and faith and weird traditions and rituals. The whole backstory with these American soldiers landing on, South Pacific islands, and then the islanders there sort of accepting them as gods because of the advanced technologies to which they, brought to these islands. But then once they left, these islanders start mowing down their, and again, the name comes from these islanders asking these soldiers, "Who are you?" And the soldiers responding, "Oh, I'm John from America," or "I'm John from Chicago."
Right.
So that's where that starts. And then, when the soldiers left and took all their planes and radios and uniforms and, quote unquote magic with them, the islanders start mowing down their, rainforest and control towers. So anyway, they get out in these airstrips doing flags, thinking that the planes will come back. Okay. And not realizing that has nothing to do with what brings the planes. So I think that concept and just the idea of how often we as consumers or religious fanatics kind of have these beliefs because they make sense to us and they kind of complete the narrative that we want to tell. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's like rooted in any fact. So I just kind of thought that the way that all of this stuff was kind of mixed in as sort of it's almost like religious fusion. And I just kind of thought that as a riff on, or a parallel to the way that music is typically made and art is made is just sort of, a good artist borrows, a great artist steals mentality. And, I guess the name itself to me was kind of cheeky, kind of poking fun at, maybe not poking fun at, but just kind of challenging the death metal name Norm.
Right.
And also kind of challenging the singer-songwriter Norm. I think it's just kind of a matter of disruption. Essentially what, if I had to distill down my goals for coming up with a name like that or a concept like that, it would just kind of be, I guess, again, disruption or sort of a questioning, confusion.
No, I definitely like that, and it makes a lot of sense to kind of go in that direction and separate from like the general pack, like you were mentioning. And like,
I certainly wouldn't want it to seem like we're pigeonholing it into the John Frum South Pacific thing. If anything, it's way broader and just kind of taking a poke at everything from Satanism to Pentecostal Christian to everything.
And obviously it's on Relapse, and you, of course, have a long history with
Wait, what?
It
is? No, anyway.
But it's on Relapse, and of course you have a long history with Relapse, with Dillinger, of course, going way back. And to make you feel old, it's been 10 years since Ironworks came out. And obviously that was a very important record in the career of the band. And with that record, obviously it kind of puts you guys over the top. And obviously being 10 years old, looking back at it, it's kind of crazy to see the path you guys have taken since then. And obviously looking back, I know at that time there was a lot of internal things that were going on. And you can definitely see that on the record, the way it turned out. But I wanted to get a little bit more of a backstory from you, since it is such a big anniversary. Obviously, you guys are coming towards the end this year as well, which makes the 10-year anniversary of this record a little bit, more important, since it's kind of coming full circle after 20 years now. So where exactly, bring us back to that time 10 years ago. There was a lot going on. Chris Penny had left the band. Brian Benoit was having his health issues as well. So what kind of was your guys' headspace going into recording this album that would turn out to be a very, very big deal in your guys' trajectory?
Well, it's hard to really put myself all the way back there. And I stamp it to other things like, what are the things I was doing in my life at the time. But, I definitely remember, there was just a lot of drama. I think most bands understand that. It was just kind of like a growing pains kind of thing. Everybody was kind of challenging their roles in the band and publicly. We're all like kind of mid to late 20s, so we're kind of also kind of in that like prepubescent Peter Pan-ness with our adult lives, and again, kind of trying to reconcile that with what we were, doing with ourselves most of the year. So anyway, there was just a lot of kind of power struggles. We started making a little bit of money, which obviously, starts poisoning certain wells in other ways too. Creatively, people, again, were kind of spreading their own personal wings and wanted to go in different directions. Some people wanted to, concentrate more on business stuff. Other people seemed to want to concentrate more on writing. Other people wanted to get out on the road. Other people wanted to stay home and record. It was just, chaos. And like you brought up, Brian's, hand kind of kept us off the road.
Right.
There was a car accident in there somewhere. There was all kinds of stuff that was kind of putting pressure on us from different external sources. So anyway, we were writing all that stuff, and then maybe less than a month before we were supposed to go record it, Chris quit. Chris, our drummer,
right.
At the time, which, I don't know how most bands work, but we kind of run to the last minute. Not to say that we procrastinate, but, we're dotting the I's and crossing the T's up, even in the mastering process. It's really like, we're constantly trying to tweak this shit. So,
yeah.
When Chris quit, it was like we were still kind of finishing everything. Certain songs had been pretty hammered out, like, Fix Your Face and 82588 and Party Smasher. Those were some of the earlier tracks that were, pretty much set to go. Whereas like a Horse Hunter or something came together, a little later in that process and pretty much after Chris left. So we were kind of, put on our heels a little bit and had to find a drummer who could play this stuff. I think, at one point we, Ben and a friend of ours had sat up and tried to even program some of the drums if it really came down to that.
Oh, wow, okay.
So there was just like a blizzard of ideas about how to get this thing done, and it just never seemed like it would get done. And then eventually it was just like, well, we have this studio time booked. We can't really change that. We scrambled and found Gil I honestly want to say we found him on YouTube through other friends who had just said, hey, check this dude out. So we had sent him the stuff and just kind of were just fingers crossed, hoping that we'd get out to California and this dude would be ready to go. And I remember Greg and I getting in his car and driving from the East Coast out to the West Coast, and that kind of being a sort of pivotal time in my, or he and I's relationship. I think that really solidified a certain dynamic between us that just kind of carried into the record. I think both of us feeling like we had to bring, to kind of maintain the legacy of the band, or something like that. And just kind of hold it together, because it seemed like Ben was, kind of like, just really losing his shit at the time, and was kind of counting on Greg and I to like just kind of be a little bit more centered. But yeah, I mean, it was just overall just a very exciting time, I think, in our personal lives and our lives as a band and interpersonally. And I think it set up a lot of the dynamics that still kind of persist between us, like interpersonally. And, yeah, I think if there was ever a underdogish record, I really thought that we went out there and that, we would end up with, there was a good chance that we would have ended up with like an absolute piece of shit record.
Right.
And when we were done with it, we were actually kind of, I think it was one of the first times where I really was sort of objectively jealous of myself. It was kind of like, I don't even know how we did that.
Yeah.
It really just kind of seemed like, I was like witnessing it happening, which is another kind of, I don't know, mile marker in my creative process of just kind of realizing like the less I try to control it, the easier it is. And the more I kind of like let that creative energy just kind of flow the way it wants to, the better the results are. So,
right, yeah.
I kind of took my hands off the wheel at that point, and I think it's been for the better.
Now, when it like you said, you were jealous of your own product, finding out how well it turned out after the fact. Now, when you got the public reaction, obviously it did pretty well on the charts. You guys sold a ton of records, and
yeah.
Also, you guys went pretty big. You had, Milk Lizard was on CASNY. You guys played on Conan O'Brien.
Conan, yeah.
So
I would say publicly that was maybe the most exposed we ever were.
Yeah.
I think if anything, we kind of recoiled a little bit after that. But yeah, no, it was definitely, again, to kind of just talk about I feel like we're talking about the record, and it's hard for me to really talk about that without at least me processing all those personal changes. And, like the things you said, like there's Conan, and then I think about Conan and I'm just like, yeah, but I remember that more like, I feel like that was the moment where my parents kind of officially understood why I dropped out of school to do what I'm doing. So, there was a lot of that kind of stuff, and I realized like just how young we were relatively, and we weren't even, but yeah, to just kind of navigate that little bit of relative success was, exciting and kind of fresh.
Was it scary at all at the same time? Because obviously going from where the band was all of a sudden, playing on national TV and having, the chart success and people being very accepting of this record, was that kind of like nerve-wracking? Like, where do we go from here? Are we going to be able to maintain this type of atmosphere as a band?
I don't know. I mean, I think that was more coming into that record than coming out of it.
Okay.
I think once we finished that record, it was very much like, well, if we can do that, we can do anything.
Okay.
And that really kind of set up the ethic of like, as long as we're all committed to it, I don't think we can fail. Like, I don't think that we can write a total bullshit record as long as everybody in this room right now is committed to pushing it. So I think after that, we had there wasn't really that kind of sophomore pressure. It was like, okay, well, this is the third record now. We have officially established ourselves as something. And yeah, I mean, it was definitely, I think like you said, there was always going to be some nerves in there. I think that any artist who acts, excessively confident is kind of kidding themselves. I think everybody is a little vulnerable. And I think that that's kind of what makes the music interesting, or the art. I remember feeling like I was more concerned about our cred or something.
Okay.
Maintaining our street cred, and not whether or not, like, I guess it was really important for me to have kind of fan acceptance at that point. But then I realized in that process, when we started doing the Conans, when we started doing that kind of stuff, that it was like, okay, well, now I'm trying to get to the people who've never heard of us and not necessarily appease the people who have.
Okay, right.
Yeah, I don't know.
And now also this was a big
That was 10 years ago, man.
Right. A long time ago at this point. Just to make you feel older, 10 years ago,
I was going to say, let's talk about Miss Machine now.
Yeah, right.
Make me feel real old.
But just quick, also on Ironworks, you had Dimitri came back to do some vocals, and you also had Brett from Mastodon. So obviously, I'm assuming having them be a part of this record was a big deal as well, especially having Dimitri.
Yeah, I thanks for reminding me. Yeah, I mean, the Dimitri thing coming back, yeah, that was definitely interesting and cool. And I think, again, sort of, when we have one member quitting in a very, like, acrimonious and publicly splattering kind of way, it was nice to kind of have Dimitri come back and, in a sense, give it a little bit more of a, I don't know, at least for me, it kind of gave it a mark of approval in that, like, these dudes aren't the bad guys.
Right.
Or something. Or sort of like, I don't even know how to explain it. It was just a nice endorsement from somebody, like Dimitri, to come and do it again and kind of contribute to the, I guess, the legacy of the band again. And to just kind of keep that, I don't know, the history flowing through it. You know what I mean? Not like we ever kind of, almost like you can check out, but you never leave.
Right. No, I definitely.
Like you can check out of the band, but you never leave. And, I think, and the Brett thing was cool too. I think we, wanted to do something, I think, not Brent. And just the song itself just sort of lent to it. And, at that time, Mastodon, he was starting to sing more. It wasn't like he was really focused or featured on a lot of those earlier records either.
Right.
So I think that for everyone, us and them, I think it was kind of something that, pushed him into that and has kind of just made it, at least for the time that we played with Mastodon, it was cool to kind of have him come out and do that stuff too. And Horse Hunter was actually the first song that Billy sent us a video of him playing Horse Hunter. And then we had seen that, like, a fan had sent that to me on Facebook or something, like, check out this dude, he's, you can play your shit.
Yeah.
So, and Horse Hunter is kind of a monster of a song. Like I said, Chris didn't really write any of that song, so Gil really stepped up for that one. So that one was essentially like, written like as we were leaving, and then mostly finished in the studio.
Oh wow!
And we don't usually do that, and that was just kind of us being, kind of pushed on our heels a little bit.
But also going full circle, you look at it from now to then, Ironworks was such a big record. Obviously, had Party Smasher on there. You guys just put out your latest record on Party Smasher. So, I mean, you could definitely say that record had a huge impact on just the general legacy of the band.
Other little things like Sinka did the cover off, and I ended up doing some Froda stuff a few years later.
Yeah.
The layout and kind of encrypted kind of alphabet.
Yeah.
That is featured on the layout was designed by Greg Kubecki, who plays in Car Bomb. So there's a lot of little Easter eggy things in that record that I guess set up a kind of feature and featured people and characters who were part of our life then and continued to be part of our lives later. The Nana Software guys. I mean, there were a lot of hands on that record.
And now looking forward from that record, obviously now we're coming towards the end of Dillinger. So how does that kind of feel to you to be coming to a wrap in a way, coming from looking back at the success that records like Ironworks had over 10 years ago, and now here we are, and we're kind of at a place where things are starting to come to a change and a close in a lot of ways. What kind of is your overall feeling about where the band is now, and obviously coming to the point where things are going to kind of stop?
I will say that I think the band is and well respected, and arguably more on fire than we've ever been. I mean, of course we've saw this, but I think that's just the natural progression. I'm not exactly the same angry 20-something that I was. A lot of that stuff was written.
Right.
I say I'm not angry, but I've found different ways of. So yeah, I don't know, I mean, it's weird looking back on all of it. You know, as you've kind of pointed out, that record is, you know, our artwork is quite pivotal, and you know, even for a couple of the things that you're rich, you know, fact or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to really conceptualize it all coming to an end at all. That wasn't necessarily in it, but I think in the process of kind of reflecting on it, it's like, okay, this makes sense, and I've had enough time to sort of, you know, from the John stuff, I'm not stopping anytime soon. I have some other projects that will, you know, hopefully see the light of day. Okay. You know, I technically recorded 3 full lengths within about 12 months. So 2 of those are out now, and I'm trying to push the third one out. It's, you know, the Dillinger thing coming to an end, I guess, gives me a little bit more to do the other things. But, you know, and it's nice because I kind of have like a life draft waiting for me. I don't think that, you know, John is going to, you know, put my daughter in private school or anything. But it's nice to kind of have that creative outlet so that when Dillinger ceases, I'm not kind of stir crazy. I don't even have my hands on the wheel anymore. I'm just kind of like a medium for whatever is happening, and I'm kind of bearing witness to it too.
Now, also kind of in relation to coming to the end, and like we mentioned with Ironworks, there was always the internal part. Now, it seems like you guys were obviously very successful, but at the same time, it seemed like there was always something going on internally. There was always, you know, everyone had their personal kind of, you know, reflection on how they wanted to see things, and people butted heads here and there. And obviously, you know, the band's legacy is 20 years, and, you know, all the way back from Ironworks, you know, 10 years. And like we said, there was a lot going on at that time, and it seems like there always has been something. What is it that has always kept the ball rolling for Dillinger? What has kept everyone pushing forward? Because you guys are, you know, such a unique unit, and to carry on throughout all of the different things that have occurred during the time the band has existed, and to be where you are today is huge. So what do you feel is that secret thing that kind of kept the whole general concept of Dillinger going throughout all of the madness over the past, you know, 15, 20 years?
Ah, man, that's a complicated question. But I think for one thing, not agreeing on everything. I think that it's really easy, especially like let's just not so recent elections. You know, say for example, you wanted Bernie Sanders. Chances you probably surrounded yourself with a bunch of Bernie Sanders, or maybe. So basically, saying that I think that some of us always rarely share the same opinion about much of anything, and that's sort of complicated in some ways, and it certainly made our, you know, process of getting anything done take, you know, sometimes exponentially than it should. But I think in terms of the creative result, the fact that most of us would never settle for anything, always pushed for more, and you know, and maybe even you know, at times we were even kind of mean to each other about what we expected, and that just kind of drove us to be sort of better than we ever thought we. So I don't know. I think just always kind of being in a state of discomfort and a little bit of you know, maybe even like mild aggression kind of kept us fiery. I also think that, you know, the fact that we had, you know, success relatively early and, you know, got a lot of sort of accolades from people that we respect, that really also kind of kept us going. You know, when somebody, you know, the mark of approval or whatever, you kind of tend to think you're doing right. You kind of get discouraged, and then somebody at Metallica will go and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and mention you as torchbearers. I think that those things were happening around that time, and you know, it just kind of made you want to be more successful. You know, System of a Down taking it out. It's like whatever we all had mixed opinions about System of a Down, the band made, but you know what that tour taught us was, you know, I wouldn't trade it. I don't know. I think we always just kind of had a burning desire to see how big this band could really go, sounding the way it does. I don't think we ever had any kind of like punk guilt about getting this band as big as it could be.
Right.
You know, and I still think in some ways we left some cards on the table, but that's just because we did things our way.
Yeah. Now, also, I wanted to briefly mention, because since it's very ironic that it kind of happened at this point, but obviously you guys are coming to the close, and you guys had that bus accident just a few months ago, and it's kind of crazy that it came, towards the very end.
Oh yeah.
And I think from what I heard is, because I talked to someone that had a conversation with Ben, and from what he was telling me was there was almost kind of a hesitation on whether to kind of continue the end of the tour, to kind of, I guess, maybe leave things as they were, and that was just going to kind of be it. Did that kind of derail the finishing end to the band a little bit, or put a little bit of a hesitation or a
Sure.
anxiety into, maybe is this the right thing to do to get back out, or should we just kind of leave it?
I mean, I don't know if there was ever. I mean, I guess there was talk of whether we could continue simply because there were injuries involved, and
Right.
we didn't really know how everybody, would handle that. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly. I think it's funny. Maybe funny is not the right word, but I think it was amusing to consider that we tell the universe that we're, giving up in a sense, and then it finds the chink in our armor.
Right. Yeah.
But it waited until it saw weakness.
Yeah.
So that is a bit strange. And like you said, there was a little bit of there was certainly hesitation about whether we should continue the tour. Like, do we just take 3 days off and see who can do what, and see if person X in this hospital feels up to it. But then it just was very, I think that was just the Dillinger mentality of, I'm pretty sure that is literally just shooting your way out of a situation. I think that that's what John Dillinger would do. And I think that was kind of our mentality about everything. Like, you just do it. You look back and you figure out how you did it later. So I think that, we had that mentality even in those moments where we were like, well, how are we going to finish the tour? And then it quickly became apparent. It was like, we can't finish this tour. And yeah, it's certainly a bit discouraging overall. I mean, even, I should be on tour with Soundgarden right now. We had done like 5 or 6 shows with them, and, Chris Cornell passes away. So there's a lot of things that have been happening with Dillinger where it feels like, hey, you look forward to something? Oh, okay, we're going to mow that down.
Yeah.
You want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. So it's really magic all around that, the European tour got cut short, and that, you come home and you kind of pull your shit back together, and you're like, hey, well, at least we have these Soundgarden shows to look forward to, and you barely get into that routine, and that ceases.
All right.
So yeah, there's a lot of kind of bittersweet frustration right now, where it's like we've given ourselves a deadline, but it also doesn't feel like we can wrap it all up that quickly. And there's also just the because you want to kind of go out on a high note, and the last record I think was a high note, and I think as I said, I think that on stage in our own individual lives, I think everybody's kind of about as fully realized as they've ever been, and really bringing their A game. So it is strange to call end, to end the band now, but it's also in that Seinfeld kind of way, like, what better time to do it than now before it changes? Not that I'm even sure that it would.
And then now, obviously, the big question is always, when a band calls it quits, is it really quits? And, you always see bands come back, or, some do stay, and they don't exist anymore. And then, there's some that'll play like a one-off here and there. Now, you guys are calling it quits. Now, is there maybe not, going back full force and putting out another 5 albums and gigging for 10 years, but will there ever be, maybe a week of shows, or, what, we worked on an EP, here it is, we're only going to play like 3 shows, but will there ever be anything more of Dillinger, or is this truly like, nope, we're done, that's it? What's your kind of...
I don't think anybody knows. I don't think he's really putting a no, like, this is never going to happen. I hate everybody in this band. I can't wait to get away. That's not the case. And I think that if everybody kind of addresses those agendas and deals with their personal and private lives in a certain way, then maybe there will be room for it. But, I definitely hesitate. I mean, there's a big part of me that respects the Fugazis and the Botches and the, dozens of other bands who probably could get back together and just choose not to. I think there's something to be said about that. I also think that, a certain band, like let's say like a Refused, who kind of stopped too early, them coming back and at least giving fans like one more tour was cool.
Yeah.
Whether Dillinger coming back would be like, hey, and we're going to write another record. I personally, I don't know too many bands that come back and make great records after breaks. There's a few, but I don't know. I really don't know, and I don't think that anybody's going to know until we're on the other side of it. I think that we're going to be different people and have totally different opinions about all of this and our past and our future when we're, officially out of it. Yeah, I don't think there's anything off the table. I don't think, like I said, I don't think anybody is like, this will never happen, or that there won't be a cause or a charity or a situation that makes sense,
right,
for us to get up and bang this stuff out. But I do think that, we've kind of been hitting it pretty hard for the last, better part of 20 years. And I'm almost addicted to it, and I can't even tell if I need to just get away from it. I think that's a lot of also my positioning is like, man, I can't even tell how much this is affecting my life. Maybe I need to get away from it for a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe my ego and my identity need to take a hit and figure out who I am now.
But obviously, I want to thank you so much. This has been a great chat. Got a lot of awesome stuff about the past, the present, and the future. And it's just been a great time. Anything you want to add, wrapping up at all?
Thrash Heart of the Terrorists Win. The first song I picked was from Miss Machine, which is We're the Storm. And I guess that was also kind of one of the later songs we wrote on that record. I think it was the last one I tracked. From a personal standpoint, it was the one that I thought we finally got the bass tone right, and it was the last track we recorded. That was kind of humorously frustrating. But yeah, I was, for me, that was just kind of a big leap where I felt like Dillinger really maintained its, kind of core constitution with some of those, heavy spastic riffs, but then kind of really broke out into some crooning sections. I think for us at that time, to kind of be able to go back and forth with that sort of Jekyll and Hyde personality, it just kind of set up where we ended up going with some of that stuff. And I just think that was one of the first times that we really sort of nailed it, or kind of broke out of the mold.
I said we tear ourselves apart, and then turns out they were right, 'cause I've never seen you so weak and so far out of breath that I never saw the tide rise so high, so fast. Watch this part capture the queen. Wait, and get drive on.
I think we should play Nong, Gong. Again, it was just like, that whole writing and recording process was just kind of chaotic. Drummer, we found a drummer. We barely kind of held the band together. It was kind of, the wheels were coming off. And in a way, it kind of made for a more, emotionally ripe record. I think everybody, I think Greg, Ben, and I especially just came with our A game on that one. Just knowing that we had a lot at stake to prove to ourselves and other people in San Francisco who had this project at the time called the Nanos Operetta. And I remember, they had done a cover of Sunshine the Werewolf at one point. So we asked them to do some strings on Ironworks, and Nong was one of the ones that, they contributed strings to, which was, again, one of the first times that Dillinger did the, string section thing. And that was definitely something that we brought back on the last record. So yeah, thinking back on that, I was like, oh yeah, we put strings there. Let's play that one.
No! You live forever, you live! The winner and the best man! Yeah! Corrupted, shame-shifted, your voice is the sound of nothing but sure of every art form and the road to see.
And Liam picked out some really good deep cuts from the Relapse catalog, and we're going to hit you with those right now. I got Nile with Serpent Headed Mask, and then we're going to hit you with some Neurosis, End of the Harvest. it's always great to look back on all the old music that we've put out as well. Since we have a lot of new music coming out, you never want to forget the old stuff, though. So I got some really good old school Relapse Records releases coming your way right now. I got some music from Origin and Suffocation. So the Origin track is Wrath of Vishnu, and then we got Suffocation with Abomination Reborn. Hope everyone enjoyed this edition of the Relapse Records podcast, and we will catch you next time. Keep it metal.
inconceivable power unleashed. Your evil sent forth to push the skulls on me.